Joining us right now is California Congressman Xavier Becerra, chairman of the House Democratic Caucus. Sir, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Maria.
First, let me get your reaction to Donald Trump calling Hillary Clinton ineffective in terms of her foreign policy and her leadership.
He should wake up, learn about history, know the accomplishments that have been made over the years, know that today Iran is not producing the same type of nuclear energy and nuclear bomb capability that it was before Hillary Clinton brought together an international team to try to negotiate an agreement to stop that nuclear buildup by Iran. He should learn the facts.
But what about the Iran deal, sir? Because it feels like ever since the U.S. and others did that deal with Iran, they've been getting more empowered, haunting and taunting our military men at sea. What's your take on Iran's behavior these last 6 weeks?
I would say look at history. They've been doing that for a long time.
It didn't get worse after the deal? It didn't get worse after the nuclear deal?
No. If you look at history, they've been doing that for quite some time. In fact, what empowered Iran was the fact that in 2003, the U.S. invaded Iraq and created this vacuum in Iraq. Today, the leader of Iraq is a close ally of Iran, and that's as a result of the war that was fought in Iraq. We certainly got rid of Saddam Hussein, but we should have known much better what was going to happen as a result of doing that. And so today, Iran is a far more powerful regional player in that area as a result of what happened in Iraq.
And Leah Gabrielle, you're a former pilot.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we're seeing from the military and from, the defense press releases is that Iran has ramped up how aggressive it's being towards our military. Now, of course, we're seeing our military also sort of test the water, so to speak. But I find it surprising to say that you say that you don't believe there's really an increase in aggression towards our military from Iran since this deal's been in place.
The aggression would come if there was outright military action. They're testing us. They've always tested us, just the way Russia tests us by sending submarines close to the U.S. shoreline. Everyone tests each other, and I guarantee you we're testing them as well.
I find it surprising that you don't see Hillary Clinton going more on the attack for Donald Trump regarding Putin when Putin does work so much with Iran and with China.
Yeah, that's a very good point, and I think she could. I think she's trying to stick to some of the facts here about what we're going to do to make the country better. There's enough there to criticize Donald Trump on his bromance with Putin, one of them, of course, and his deep dealings with some shady business people from Russia as well. I think that's going to continue to come out and show that Donald Trump probably is very friendly towards Russia, not just because he thinks it, but because he owes his finances to that.
What about the dealings on the uranium sale, right? I mean, Hillary Clinton, as Secretary of State, sold 25% of the U.S.'s uranium, and very soon after, the Russians paid Bill Clinton, her husband, for speeches, and they donated hundreds of millions of dollars to the Clinton Foundation. Is that a conflict?
The Clinton Foundation is totally separate from the U.S. government. What the U.S. government has done in policy is far different from what a foundation would do, so I don't see the relationship between the two.
Well, the relationship would be that she sold the uranium, and then very soon after, they donated hundreds of millions of dollars to the Clinton Foundation. You don't think that's a conflict?
If there was some violation of law, or if there's some way, some policy that we enacted that can show that it was tainted or swayed by a donation, then I'd listen to you. But there's nothing that shows that there's any interaction between a donation to a private foundation and the U.S. government's policies.
So, in other words, selling the uranium, that was the policy, and then very soon after, they gave the Clinton Foundation more than $100 million. You don't think how about the appearance of conflict? Does it look like pay to play?
So if you're telling me that the U.S. has never sold uranium, or if you're telling me that Russia has never purchased uranium, then perhaps we could get closer to finding some kind of connection. But these are things that go on all the time, that you're saying that there's some connection with a foundation that does private activity that shows no relationship to the U.S. government. I don't see the connection.
James Freeman.
Congressman James Freeman here from the Journal. Just staying on that quickly, I'm wondering if it does bother you that the donations from the Canadian mining entrepreneurs who benefited from the deal were not disclosed by the foundation as the Clintons promised President Obama that they would be.
I've not familiar with that, James, so I'd have to get more information before I could comment on that particular point.
If I could switch gears for just a second, I wanted to get your take. Donald Trump saying yesterday he thinks it ought to be a national goal, 4% economic growth. Do you think that's a good goal for the country?
Yeah, I do think it'd be a great goal for the country, just as I think it would be a great goal to say that every American teenager should graduate from college with a 4-year college degree. It's a great goal as well. Those are the kind of goals that Donald Trump has. He's going to defeat ISIS with the greatest plan that's secret that no one ever knows because he knows more than our U.S. generals. He says that kind of hyperbole, and he says it without ever backing it up. So 4% growth, that would be phenomenal. The last time we had it was under a President Clinton. We'll have good economic growth, but it won't be with a President Trump. It'll be with a President Clinton again in the future.
What about the birther issue, Congressman? Mr. Trump is also blaming Secretary Clinton for the start of the birther controversy. He just told us that he's going to address it later, but listen to what he said last hour, Congressman. I want to get your reaction to this. You believe that President Obama was born in the United States right now. Can you clarify your stance on this?
Well, I'm going to make a big announcement on it today, probably during my first speech at my new hotel. We're opening, as you know, on Pennsylvania Avenue, the old post office.
We're going to be carrying that news conference, but Congressman, he said that during the primary season when Hillary was running against President Obama, she's the one who first raised it. Is he even an American citizen?
I feel like I'm in a sandbox trying to get my kid out of the playground because he's just not acting right. Have you ever heard anyone use more me's and I's in a sentence than Donald Trump? And then when it doesn't go his way, it's their fault. You know, they took my marbles, and that's why I got really upset and kicked sand in their face. It's just really interesting. This guy, everything is big. He's going to make a big announcement about what he's going to say. Come on. He can't admit that he was the grand wizard on the birther movement, that he's unwilling to say himself. All his campaign people are willing to say he knows that President Obama was born in the U.S., but Donald Trump can't utter those words. Why? Because Donald Trump would have to admit he was wrong.